Grab a cocktail with us and welcome to the hot mess that is my life as a single makeup artist living in a college town in Florida. This is Kara's Lipstick Diary. Hey you guys, we are back with another episode. Have you hit that subscribe button? You know you want to hit the subscribe button because we release in 2 parts now. So if you don't hit that subscribe button, you might miss out when the second half of the episode drops. So hit that subscribe button. Okay, you guys, today we have a little bit of a deeper conversation. And it's that conversation about why women don't leave and why phrasing it that way is really harmful because then it puts the blame on the victim and puts all the responsibility on her when it should be put on the perpetrator who's causing the abuse. So I'm very fortunate to have someone coming on who has worked on the board of an organization that works with women in these situations for some 20-something years. And she's gonna be my guest, and we're gonna sit back and really have that deep conversation about why women don't leave and why that's a harmful way to say it. So let's start out. I think I'm gonna need a drink for this conversation. So we're gonna have a gin and tonic, which has become one of my new favorite things. We all know how much I absolutely love Empress Gin. Again, y'all need to freaking sponsor me because this is my obsession. People now associate me with this gin. Some people came over the other day and they're like, we need that gin you talk about all the time. I got it, it's right here. It's fantastic. So we're gonna do 1 part of the Empress Gin. All right, bam, in the glass. And then we're gonna do 2 parts of the tonic water. I swear I'm not gonna make a mess as this bubbles. Ooh, and it changed colors already. I freaking love how Empress Gin does that. I mean, seriously, could that become even prettier? Then we're gonna add some lime in there because, well, I like lime. We talk about this a lot. So I'm just gonna add a couple little limes in because they're the best. And then I can't do this without some glitter. So adding in my fabulous glitter to make this drink extra special. All right, doesn't look like your standard gin and tonic, but it's pretty freaking fabulous. So sit back, let's have this conversation, and remember, hit that subscribe button. All right, you guys. Donna, thank you so much for coming on this show. Donna has been on the board for Peaceful Paths, which is an organization that helps women who are the victims of domestic violence, assault, all of that. You've been on for a long time.
Over 25 years.
That's amazing. So you know a lot of the things that go on in these situations, and I'm just so honored to have you on the show. So here's the funny story. I don't even think you know this. Okay. So I've known you now for close to 10 years?
Oh, more than that.
Yeah, I'm it's been quite a while.
A long time.
Because we were on the committee of another fundraiser back in the day. So everyone always tells me that I'm intimidating, and I can never figure out why I'm intimidating. I'm always but I'm a nice person. Why is everyone intimidated by me? You intimidated the living daylights out of me back in the day.
No.
Yes, you literally were the most, I was so intimidated by you, and I was like, oh my God, she's so fabulous. And she probably thinks I'm just such riffraff. And oh my God, I was so intimidated by you. And I realized when I asked you to come on the show, because we've become friends over the past couple of years. And I was like, oh my God, she was that woman to me that everyone says about me. And I kind of get it now. But maybe she's not intimidating. She's really quite fabulous.
No, I'm not intimidating at all. So yeah.
But yes, I had to tell you that story because
that's very funny.
You intimidated the living daylight, and I did not think I was cool enough to even associate with you.
And I was so happy to serve on the committee with her. We had a great time.
We did. We had a great time. But I was literally I'm not cool enough to be around this woman. No. She's too fabulous.
Thank you.
So I had to start out with that because I was I had to let you know. But anyways, I wanted to do this topic because, at a certain point you realize people who have gone through this, whether you want to admit it, and you yourself may have gone through these type of situations. And we always come out with the phrase, why didn't she leave? Which is a terrible way to put it. Because oftentimes women who are in these situations, they can't leave. And you're putting the blame on the victim instead of on the perpetrator who is physically, emotionally, financially, sexually abusing the woman in their life. And so I was we need to change the way we talk about it and also talk about what goes on so that these women can't leave. And with what you've done on this board, you've gotten to see a lot of that.
A lot of it. And you'd be amazed. We have a shelter, the board that I'm on, but the old shelter that we had was not very well secured. This one is fabulous, But the old shelter that we had, and we used to visit it like once a month, and you'd be amazed at the people that you would know from our hometown that were very prominent, very well known. So it crosses it crosses every single income bracket there is, every single class bracket there is. I mean, there's no selective.
There's no
selective.
Yeah.
It could be
anybody.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's something we don't think about.
And we don't think about that. And we've come a long way.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, when I first started to be on the board, there were times, that our executive director would have to go to speak at Rotary with a male beside her, because unfortunately there's that good old boy network.
Yeah, there is.
That is still around. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to say that.
Oh, 100% it is.
It's still around, and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
For especially women to try to leave in that situation.
Well,
the number one thing, as you said, the number one is financial.
Yeah. Well, and that's, one of the things we don't think about, we're watching right now in our society, rights being taken away from women again. Right. And we don't realize how short of a time period it was before women could have their own bank accounts, their own credit cards, buy their own home, start their own business. It wasn't that long ago that we couldn't do that. And so women were financially tied to their husbands because there was nothing else they could do. But even today, so many women still do not have the freedom. Yeah.
And that's how they control them, first of all, is financially. And they gaslight them. They say you're not smart enough to work. You're not smart enough to have a bank account. I will dole out the money to you, to the children, to whatever.
Because you can't.
Because you cannot. And they gaslight them.
Well, my first boyfriend when I was in college was extremely emotionally abusive, very close to becoming physically abusive. I'm very fortunate that I got out when I did, but that was the constant rhetoric. I wasn't smart. I wasn't talented. I couldn't do anything. Now, he was the one sitting on his ass playing video games all day, and I was paying the bills. But it gets in your head when you're constantly told that. And I've watched a friend recently go through this where she's the talented one. She's the driven one. She's the capable one. But her husband has convinced her that he is. And that that she's just a waste of space, basically. Right. And she stays because he's so great.
Right. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
Is because they are constantly drumming into her that you're not worth it. You're not worth it. You're not worth it. You're not worth it. No, I didn't rape you. You're my wife.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
No, you were drunk and fell down the stairs. That's why you broke your arm. No, you're really fine because you didn't have to go to the hospital, did you?
Yeah, it didn't. It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
And you just start to believe that.
Well, and when women go into these relationships, these men don't come across that way at first.
Oh, not at all.
They're very charming. They're amazing. They give you great gifts. They say great things to you. You don't go in thinking, I'm going to be with an abuser.
Because an abuser is basically a sociopath.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So. That's the thing I think that people aren't aware of. It takes a while for this to build. It's not
and they never show it on the outside. Never.
And it's almost always people that, to the public, are super charming. Never who you would think.
Right.
Because they're such great guys.
Yes. And that's a real problem.
Yeah.
So once we get them out of there, but unfortunately, at least 60 to 70% of the women that come to the shelter go back.
Well, and I've heard that it sometimes, on average, takes women 6 to 7 times to leave and actually get away.
Correct.
And I've also heard that is actually the most dangerous time for them. That is when they're going to get killed.
The fourth time that they go back, that's when he's most likely to kill them.
Yeah. And that's what's terrifying.
Yes.
Is that in their attempt to get away is oftentimes the most dangerous moment for them.
Right. And sometimes it's not even if they have children.
Yeah.
And they go to the shelter and they say, because of your children, and they go back with the children. And then he's physically abusive to the children as well as.
And that's just devastating. Like, absolutely devastating. But we see this constantly. And these men aren't being held accountable.
Not one bit.
And that's why it keeps happening. We are blaming the women for not leaving, even though there's no system for them to leave, financially, whatever. Right. And then we don't punish the men. And
the men unfortunately don't get punished because we're still in that good old boy society.
Yeah, we are. The patriarchy.
And there are several judges that I know our executive director will not go in front of. And now we have 3 full-time attorneys on our staff.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And a million programs. And one of the best programs is the Financial Empowerment Program, which teaches women how to save, how to build your credit. We help them buy cars. We help them get apartments at discounted rates.
And the credit thing is huge.
The credit issue is huge.
Huge, because if they are relying on everything from their husband, they don't even have credit.
No, they don't.
They have zero credit. And if you don't have credit, you can't do anything. And I mean, the whole system of credit is a whole nother issue. Right. But like, they literally if you don't have credit, you can't go out and do anything.
No, which is why we have all these and we have programs for children too, to teach them how to,
so they don't end up in this situation.
So they don't end up in the same situation.
Well, and I also find it interesting, with the person that I have been recently watching go through this situation, the lack of support from the family or the wishy-washiness of the family. And I've oftentimes heard this where the parents are like, well, he's not doing X, Y, and Z, so it's okay.
Right.
Or he comes from a good family.
He comes from a good family.
The good family one is just,
right.
That don't mean jack shit. But it's surprising to me how many families encourage the women to stay in these situations.
Absolutely. And they don't want to get involved. That is the big thing.
Well, and as a friend watching this with my friend, what's been hard is wanting to get involved, getting involved to a certain extent, and then being pushed away and realizing I can't really help because they're not there yet.
Right.
And I think that as a friend watching it from the outside, that's devastating.
It is devastating. And what we've been trained, because we do have to do training in our board and every once in a while go through the shelter and have training at the shelter, is that the best thing you can do is keep reaching out.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can do. Even if they ignore you, keep reaching out, saying, I'm here, I'm your support system. I mean, which is what the family should be doing, but unfortunately they don't. It's most times the friend. And just be vigilant about doing that. Because if you're not, then they become more reclusive and more isolated.
Well, and that's the isolation.
The isolation
is one of the things that that is kind of scary that happens.
Right.
I mean, I remember my very short relationship that was quite toxic. He did not want me socializing with any of my friends, with any of my family.
Not at all.
And it was only the people in his world. And that was it. If I went out in public and I wore clothes he didn't like, he would scream at me, throw them out, etc. If anyone paid attention to me, I'd get in trouble. So I was very much limited to I could only associate with his people without getting in trouble. And it makes you so that you end up in this cycle that makes it very hard to see what the reality is.
And that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
The abuser, that's what he wants. If you're not associated with the outside world and he's your only world, that's what they want, because then they can tell you and do whatever they want to you.
And you have no recourse or no way to bounce it off of anyone to be as normal.
And the big thing, they say, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. That's the big thing.
That is a huge thing.
I'm going to hurt the children, or I'm going to kill the dogs.
Yes.
I mean,
it's always something like, it's a drastic measure that. And the I'm going to kill myself, there's an episode that we've done on suicide and suicidal ideation. And it's one of those things that oftentimes those who are actually suicidal and actually want to die, they're not going to announce it and use it as a threat over your head. They're just going to do it.
Right.
That is such, and then there's this guilt and this feeling like I have to stay because otherwise, and that's on them.
And unfortunately, I think it's about 70% of the abusers are either alcoholics or drug users.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is so prominent.
Very prominent.
You know, the person that, you know, I know who's going through stuff right now, like swears her spouse is a great guy, not doing anything. But those of us around are like, he's giving every sign that there is drug use happening, and nothing's happening.
Right.
And you know, that's what I've been sitting watching going, this is what's happening. I know it is. Like every flag is flying really high.
Right.
But it's so hard because the women are oftentimes very defensive because they're scared. What happened? Why did we stop the episode? Well, you know how it goes now. Season 3, we're releasing in 2 parts. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and find out when the next episode is dropping. It should be like, in a week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in a week.